Brian is Pratt here. So I got to thinking. Well, actually, last week someone asked me. I started reading the Morcyth Saga like 10 years ago, and I read. I started reading Travail the Dark Mage, and I'm waiting for the next book to come out. And I says, well, what was the last one you read? Because sometimes people don't know. And he says, Tides of Faith. And I says, well, you're one behind, right? So it makes me wonder if people really pay attention to, because see, in the front of every book, ebook and paperback, I have a listing of all my books. I mean, the further down you go, the more there is. And as I'm redoing them, I'm updating the list. But there's a list of my books in front of every one of them. And I just wondered if people have read, if anyone out there has actually read all 19 of my books. Yes, I've had 19 out there. There was actually a 20th that I had out for a short time that is no longer available. But that one was a Strategies for American Idol Hopefuls. Yeah, I put that out for a while. I always wanted to see someone mention it on American Idol, but no one ever did. And eventually, I just let it go because it became, I don't know. Anyway, so I've got 7 of the Morcyth Saga, and that's what probably everyone has read. And then the follow-up series, the Morcyth Saga, I've got 3. I'm working on the 4th one now, Relic of the Ancients. It should be out, I'm hoping, August. And then I have a Broken Key Trilogy, 3 books. Shepherd's Quest, Hunter of the Horde, and Quest Inn. This one is most like Dungeons & Dragons and role-playing. Then I have Adventures Guild. The first one is Jacobs and Reneeke join the guild, and the second one is the Caravan to Kittikin. Excuse me. And that one there is was just fun to write. In fact, the first Adventures Guild is of all my books is my favorite book of all of them. There's a lot of humor in that one. And then there's my dungeon crawlers. There's 2, Underground and Portals. These are unique standalone books where at the end of the first chapter you're in the action and it just stays going the entire time. I always got tired of books that had this long intro until you finally get the action. Well, most of my books get right into it, but these ones here, boom, you're into it almost immediately. Underground, it's one of those where they wake up and they're in a dungeon and they have to figure out who they are, where they are, and how to get out. And then I got a Scar and Potbelly book, because during the Morcyth Saga, they all talk about, around the campfire, they tell these tall tales. So I thought, well, let's flesh them out. So I've got one of those already written. And then Ring of the Ortux. That's my most controversial book. Also, I think my most creative book. And I really like it, but very few people have actually read that one. And I've always thought of it like The Hobbit to The Lord of the Rings. But since the money's not there, I can't justify writing the follow-up series. But that one there is about an angel-like being named Laris. In my book, these angel beings are called Kendri, and they serve this goddess. Well, Laris is sent to Earth to find the chosen one. I always thought, well, wouldn't it be interesting to find out why they need a chosen one, how they're chosen, and so forth. And what if all that goes terribly wrong? So this one planet where the goddess has a following is all of a sudden a war is going against them. So they send Laris to Earth to get the chosen one to bring back to that world and save them. So Laris has 1 year to find the chosen one, get him ready to go, so when they get there, it's set. Well, things don't work out very well. And it just... But I think it's my most creative book, but no one's ever really, I sell maybe one a month, sometimes like 5 a year. Yeah, it's that way. So I'm just curious, do people actually go to my other series, or they just read the Morcyth Saga and stop? Because most people read this Morcyth Saga and stop, that's what they do. That's fine. But I've always been curious. When I was growing up, I really loved Isaac Asimov and Robert A. Heinlein, and I scoured bookstores, old bookstores. I rooted through dusty back rooms, and I hunted down every one of those books I could find. You know, in the front, they always had the book list. I would write those down, and I would hunt for those titles until I got most of them. I'm proud to say I got most of them. Do people do my books that way? I've often wondered that. But anyway, so I've got 19 books, and this year, actually, when I hit December 1st, 20 years. And if I can get this next book out before then, I can technically say one book a year. Even though there's a long distance in between a couple of books, but 20 books, 20 years. So if I can get this 20th book done before December 1st, because Morcyth, The Unsuspecting Mage, was published December 1st, 2005. It was published through iUniverse, and it was so rough. I mean, does anybody even have a copy of that anymore? I got a case of those unopened in storage. I always thought they'd be worth something someday, so I ordered that case, and I've kept it unopened. It is raw, nothing like what it is today. It's gone through many revisions, and the original was in present tense, whereas now it's past tense. Well, anyway, so does anybody out there have got all 19 books? I don't know. Could someone out there have all 20 books? You know, does anyone have the strategy guides for American Idol hopefuls? Well, I guess I do have that one book, Help, I Don't Live Here Anymore. I don't really count that as a book so much because it is a 20 books, I guess it is. But I'm not really that happy with it. Anyway, but no, I don't really count that as a book because I just compiled a whole bunch of stuff I had already written and just published it just to piss off my ex. It was a book of spite. It's all true in there. Everything in there I wrote is true, but I did it. Yeah, first of that book, I made it $3.99, right? And people hardly did. And then she did something that really made me mad. So I made it free. And it's been out there ever since. I thought about pulling it, but I've gotten 2 messages from foster homes where they came across this book and they had their foster kids read it, and it helped them to feel like what they were going through is not just them, that other people go through bad things, and that it can have a good resolution at the end. And that's why I kept it out there, because 2 foster homes, I don't know, years ago mentioned it to me, and so I've kept it out there because maybe it does give some people hope. I don't know. Anyway, I don't count that. That's not a fantasy book. I don't really count that book. These other ones here, I had to actually work and strive and put together stuff. This thing here, I was just typing. When my kids were talking to me, I wanted a record because of what they were saying. So I was typing all this stuff down, right? Or while they were talking to me, and right after they talked to me, I got it together so my thoughts were, accurate. And then I thought, oh shoot, I got a whole bunch of stuff. I'm just gonna publish it. So, I guess that's it. I do talk a lot, don't I? Y'all take care.